The topic of this lecture is awareness of rights and obligations for personality development in Islam. In this lecture, I have given examples from Quran and Hadith Mubarakah to develop those things as rights and obligations for personality development. First of all, we should understand the word and the meanings of certain things. The meanings of the word rights. The meaning of the word rights or right is to use and gain benefit from each and everything of this world within the framework of Sharia. Use and gain benefit means that a person, Muslim, should enjoy وَخَلَقْنَا لَكُمْ مَا فِي الْأَرْضِ جَمِيعًا, Quran says. Each and everything which has been produced in this or created in this universe is only and only for the man to gain the benefits or to use and to get the benefits in a good, judicious manner. The meaning of the word obligation is the opposite of this. That a person, a Muslim, should become himself useful and beneficial for each and everything of this universe, of this world, within the framework of Sharia. Right means to get and use, and obligation means to pay back what he has gained. He should give it back to the society, to his people near ones, according to the categories. So he should be a beneficial man for the society. This is the perspective of Islam to develop a personality, and for this I have chosen a few things from Quran and Sunnah, which by the title which I have given is that awareness of rights and obligations. What I mean to say here is that if a person does not have the awareness, the knowledge of what are his rights and what are the obligations, what are his responsibilities, he cannot develop his personality, and that personality which he is having without these two, awareness or information, will be not taken or granted as a good personality of Islam. Now let us take very briefly, I'll give you can read by yourself. What I have chosen here is the rights of the parents becomes the obligation of the children. Many examples of Quran and Hadith are there. Right number 2, rights of the children, obligations and duties of the parents. So it is a two-way contrast in all these things which I have presented here. That, for example, the rights of the parents becomes the obligation of the children. The obligation of the children becomes the obligation of the children becomes the right, and the right becomes the obligation of the children. So the rights of the obligation of the children will be fulfilled by the parents, so it becomes an obligation, and the rights of the children will be fulfilled by the parents' obligation. So in this way, it's a two-way concept, that, or a two-way, it's like a highway on which one way of going and one way of coming back. The second is rights of children. It becomes the obligations and duties of the parents, or in other words, the rights of the parents becomes the duties or obligation on the children. Next is the rights of the husband and becomes the obligation of the wife or the spouse. So, and the right of the rights of the wife or spouse becomes the obligation of the husband. So in this manner, the Quran and the Hadith which I have mentioned here gives a very clear view. For example, take the example of the inheritance. Surah An-Nisa verse number 1 to 14 has a complete manual or jadwal in which Quran has mentioned very clearly how the inheritance will be distributed among the people. The next is the rights of the wife becomes the obligation of the husband, or on the opposite way is the same. In this I have discussed dowry and other things, khula and talaq and many other things. Rights of the relatives becomes the duties of the relatives. How the relatives or the should we behave and perform their duties, which becomes an obligation, and what are their rights. Rights of the neighbors and the duties of the neighbors. This is also a very important point for personality development. And if this is, and many of the things which I have mentioned here are very important, in the sense that if we are not following these things, then there is going to be a problem, a chaos in the society. Next is rights of the orphans and the obligation on the rich or the wealthy relatives and the wealthy people. Next is the rights of the poor and needy. It becomes a duty and of the relatives or the wealthy people of the society. Next is the rights of the friends and the duties of the friends. That means what are the rights or becomes the duties of the friends, and the opposite way is the same. Next is the right of the guest and the obligation of the guest. Next is the rights of the host and the obligations on the guest. For example, I have given here an hadith mubarakah that if a person stays in a friend's house as a guest and he exceeds 3 days, according to this hadith mubarakah, this sign H means hadith, is going to take sadaqah. He will eat the sadaqah of his friend or his host. Next is the rights of the teacher and the obligation on the students, and the rights of the students becomes the obligation on of the teacher. And the last is the rights of the pupil or the students becomes the obligation or duties of the teacher, or the rights of the teacher becomes the responsibility or the duty of the pupil or the students. This is all which we have taken, I have discussed here. You can see in detail, means see that the awareness of these rights and obligations are very important in a society, especially the Muslim society, for personality development. Thank you very much for your time.